So here is some more recent data added to the fourth chapter in part 1 called our disruptions, disturbances, and boom boom something. Okay, impacts or some such thing. You can look it up. Okay, so what is added since the 2014 publication in terms of some data and details are these. This is the leading causes of death in 2019 from the WHO report from 2022. We already looked at these in terms of the top 10 causes of deaths across the world, including the rich countries, poor countries, low middle income countries, and lower middle income countries, and so on. And we had looked at non-communicable, communicable deaths and injuries. Here we are going to add a few more details. So number 1 remains ischemic heart disease in the global count of causes of deaths in 2019. Stroke comes in second, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, lower respiratory infections which are communicable, neonatal conditions which are communicable. Then you have trachea, bronchus, and lung cancer. Alzheimer's diseases and other dementia, diarrheal diseases are communicable, diabetes mellitus, and kidney diseases. Diabetes has become now very, it's an epidemic now because of all the sugar consumptions, changes in physical activities, may be related to pollution, and so on and so forth. So if you look at the high income countries, the order remains this way, where ischemic heart disease is still the top killer. Alzheimer's disease and other dementias, stroke, trachea, bronchus, and lung cancers, chronic obstructive pulmonary diseases, lower respiratory infections, colon cancer, and rectum cancer, which doesn't show here. And you have kidney diseases, hypertensive heart disease, which doesn't show up there, and diabetes mellitus. So you can see how wealth can add some diseases that may be related to diet or alcohol consumption or something else. I won't go into those sorts of details, but upper middle income countries still have ischemic heart disease at the top and stroke as second. They have chronic obstructive pulmonary diseases, COPD, which is often related to pollution, trachea, bronchus, and lung cancers. Lower respiratory infections are higher up here. Diabetes is still higher from the rich countries. Hypertensive heart disease, Alzheimer's, and other dementia, stomach cancers as opposed to colon and rectum cancers, and road injuries makes top 10 in upper middle income countries, which is probably related to increasing wealth, increasing number of vehicles, people not being used to these and not having enough safety rules, and so on and so forth. In lower middle income countries and low income countries, you have again reordering of the things. I won't read more, but I will point out that in lower middle income and low income countries, you have many more diseases that are communicable, like neonatal conditions, lower respiratory infections, diarrheal diseases, and tuberculosis. So now you constantly hear about drug-resistant tuberculosis as well. And in low income, you have neonatal as number 1 still in 2019. Lower respiratory infections, diarrheal diseases, malaria, road injury is even a higher number here. And tuberculosis, HIV/AIDS is still around, and cirrhosis of the liver, which is often related to alcoholism, but we have to be careful to see what is causing that here. Okay, if you look at active state-based conflicts in 2020, you can see all the red spots here. I won't read the details here, but Africa is full of them. Russia, Ukraine, China is facing some state-based conflicts, so you have to be sure what the definitions are, but basically here is where government to government conflicts are happening, and across much of this area from Western Asia into South Asia and Southeast Asia. So large part of the African and Asian continent, little bit in South America, but North America is basically free of state-based active conflicts, was free of state-based active conflicts in 2020. We discussed a little bit on how people on people violence has decreased, but state conflicts are killing more and more people. Adding on to that, fatal events around in 2020 by type of violence in Central Africa. So you can see there is state based violence, non-state-based violence, and one-sided violence. So you can see state-based violences are dominating everywhere, as we said here, and there is plenty of one-sided violence. So it may be ethnic attacks on one group, or some other kind of defenseless people being attacked in a one-sided way. And there are plenty of non-state based conflicts going on in Central Africa as well. Fatal events around 2020 by type of violence in Central America, it's mostly all non-state based violence, but here are few that are state based and one-sided. Lots of things here tend to be drug related, or gangsters, or drug cartels doing things, and migrants trying to get across and getting attacked in a one-sided violence, and so on and so forth. Okay, the scourge of non-state violence in Mexico is often just related to drug cartels. Terrorism can be domestic or international. An attack may succeed or fail, causing widespread death and destruction, or not. The National Consortium for the Study of Terrorism and Response to Terrorism, START, defines the terrorist attack as the threatened or actual use of illegal force and violence by a non-state actor to attain a political, economic, religious, or social goal through fear, coercion, and intimidation. Their global terrorism disease database includes more than 200,000 registered terrorist incidents between 1970 and 2019, and it continues to go up. To be included in this database, an incident must be intentional, violent, and perpetrated by subnational actors. The database does, in other words, not include acts of state terrorism. In addition, at least two of the following three criteria must be present for an incident to be included. The act must be aimed at attaining a political, religious, or social or economic goal. Mere pursuit of profit is not sufficient, but must involve a pursuit of more profound systemic economic change. There must be evidence of an intention to coerce, intimidate, or convey some other message to a larger audience than the immediate victim. So the violence is perpetrated to send a message to a larger community, or a larger message to a larger community. The act must be outside the context of legitimate warfare, that is, outside the parameters permitted by international humanitarian law. There are laws of war that have to be followed, but there are many proxy wars played by state actors. We won't name any, but where they fit in terms of state-based versus non-state-based has to be looked at carefully. So here, Corruption Perceptions Index in 2021, so data that came after 2014 in the first edition. So you can see that a lot of Africa remains highly corrupt in terms of perceptions. North America, Australia, Europe are better, but Russia, Central Western Asia, and India, China, of course, have fairly high perceptions of corruption, which is not good. Okay, so that's a quick addition of some newer data to our disturbances and disruptions and our change, or some such thing that I'm missing at the moment. Okay, so let's leave it here. This is from the second edition.